Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. We are dedicated to tactics, and we are dedicated to this Vlandian campaign. If you've been watching the campaign, you know it is a combination of different campaigns. We are currently sitting in prison. Ryland was chucked into prison here after yet another defeat by the terror known as Zuvan, leading Sturgeon forces deep into our territory here. And as the saying goes, right, the day really is darkest right before the dawn. But we're not about to give up. Even though every army we've put out there and the tactics we've used against the Sturgeons has not succeeded so far, you go back to the drawing board, you dust yourself off, and you continue to look for ways to succeed. Of course, this campaign is built on the concept of difficulty and overcoming that difficulty, and I'm very, very honored to have you guys along for the ride. Now, we get an offer of freedom here, but I'm going to be cutting a lot of this episode into pieces. I don't think you need to watch me for an hour recruit troops and stuff like that as we rebuild our army here. We do have one castle, so we can go get a little bit of troops from them here, but I don't even have enough influence to call a party to us, so it's really just the drudgery of picking up 6 recruits there, picking up these mercenary forces there and dodging looters, right? We've got all kinds of hostile forces here. We're at war with a lot of different kingdoms, and this is going to be difficult. Make sure we got some food here. Your guys starving. All of a sudden the morale goes down. Everything goes to shit. And of course, we're eventually going to look to form an army. Alright friends, we have done a little bit of editing here, and I'm going to skip much of the rebuilding process here, running around and smashing this army of brigands, destroying this noble with tactics, and upgrading our troops all along the way. It's a tedious process, and maybe this is the kind of thing that we will have many episodes on Patreon someday if there's enough demand for it, because it might be educational for some players, but this campaign already rates to be very long, very epic. In fact, I'm going to embellish on this campaign a little bit more. We're going to get a little bit more dynamic here because of the news of the delay of the DLC. That's going to allow me to make this campaign even gnarlier. The question you have to ask yourself is, where is this campaign going to go? Is Baron York going to conquer? Is Ryland going to face Baron York? Is Ryland going to make his own kingdom? Well, as they say on TV, fellas, you'll have to watch and see. And we got too many troops now because of those prisoners, and I don't want to just dump them. We're too far away from our castle. We're going to get deserters if I head to the castle, but right now I'm really trying to accumulate troops. So let's go ahead and let's make a party here, right? We've got Captain Rose is always eager to lead a party. She's probably smarter than Ryland, so we're going to go ahead and put her in charge of some troops here as we continue to rebuild our army. We're going to continue to do this a little bit more deliberately than we have in the past. Of course, part of the upgrade process is fighting some of these smaller battles and, the somewhat drudgery for an experienced player like me. Nevertheless, we are committed to doing so and trying to give you guys narration as we do this. I better go ahead and say welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. We are in the Far East here, right? We are in, I guess this would be like the Chinese or the Nepalese steppe. Sort of simulated up here. We're at the very furthest edge of the map. We've got a small army that we're starting to form. We're still at war with Sturgeon here, taken prisoner by Wazuban of the Aserai. I mean, you gotta love it, right? You guys get to scoreboard watch, especially the guys who made it through the Aserai campaign. 50-something episodes. Actually, I think it was 60 episodes of just chaos and carnage. And now your hero, Wazuban, still lives, right? He's roaming around. Now, the Sturgeons are eminently stronger than us. We just lost a couple big battles. In fact, the Southern Empire is stronger than us too. Nevertheless, Monchug declared war on them recently. You know, you can't control the AI. It just does artificial imbecility. We can help here with Akalat. We need to continue to upgrade these low-level troops. But I'm also seeking, more territory here for Ryland. This has been my intent throughout this little, we'll call it a side campaign of this Vlandian campaign, and that is to have a Khazate off branch of this, right? So you guys get variety, so you guys get the unknown of what is going to happen here with Baron York, the ultimate tyrant despot, and his children. Now we've got a bunch of Sturgeon troops here just kind of lingering around, probably getting ready to defend Akalat. Let's try to trap them here. And what just happened? Wazuban is taken prisoner. Well, easy come, easy go. Of course, it's not me playing Wazuban. The AI is going to do some dipshit things with Baron York, with Wazuban. You cannot control what they do with your characters in the game. All we can do is give them a Ferrari, and they may crash it into the wall. Now, let's see if we can't use Rose here as a combination of bait and also an attack dog. If you guys have never done this before, it's an effective way to catch and destroy smaller armies. Look at, she's already got the scent of that Sturgeon force. They're running. She's faster, of course, because we gave her lots of horse archers, and they're dead man, right? She's going to lose a few troops before we close here, but she's gaining tactics and medicine skill, and we'll just auto-resolve this, right? We don't need to... We did suffer way more deaths there than we would have if we fought that, but occasionally we're going to do that. It's kind of a balance between, you know, wanting to do this as efficiently as possible, but also not boring you guys to death, right? I'm not going to fight battles of 900 against 200 very often. Maybe we'll do battles where we're slightly favored, right? Where we'll suffer 500 casualties if the AI is in charge, especially with this Savage Khazate army we're forming. We have probably 60% horse archers. A couple of these other lords that we gathered up here were very heavy horse archer, whatever you want to call it. Their army had lots of horse archers in it, is I guess the proper English way to say that. I'm getting distracted. I'm so interested in scoreboard watching because there's so much different stuff going on. The Sturgeons are at war. The Southern Empire declared war on us. The Aserai declared war on the Sturgeons recently. And then there was a huge calamitous battle where I saw a bunch of death and carnage in the lower right there. And now they have peace. All right, so things are happening, and these are going to impact the campaign. Of course, if Ryland gets killed, we will march on, right? We're going to be able to help here, I think. Yeah, just barely. Of course, a lot of people would say just let them die, take all their prisoners. There's a combination here of building, we're going to fight this, of building relation with some of these nobles, but also our armies are, you know, they're starting to flesh out. We don't need to harvest every single troop along the way. Although I guess in retrospect, I just realized I dumped, you know, 100 of my troops onto Rose. So maybe we should have let them be captured first. But nevertheless, here we go here. Let's just blitz this. This will be 5 minutes. And occasionally we're going to include stuff like this in the playthrough. Some guys really struggle on how to upgrade. Some guys really struggle on having casualties in battles like this where you're 60% favorite. You can see the power bar. Even if we F1, F3, we win, right? It would be a trucking. And if we auto-resolved, we would win as well. However, in both of those scenarios here, especially facing these Varangians, this nasty infantry the Sturgeons have, we might lose 200, 300, 400 troops, right? And I just can't afford that, right? We got to continue to upgrade these troops. It takes a long time to run around a village after village and gather troops. And this battlefield literally must be designed by the developers to be Khazate's home field advantage. Like, this is unbelievably advantageous to a horse archer army. There's tons of space, there's tons of hills, there's all kinds of bowls and valleys, and yet it's smooth enough that you can gain line of sight. What that means is that it's very easy to surround and pound a force like this. Right now they have other troops we're going to have to contend with. I see all kinds of cavalry. They actually have a bunch of horse archers, and of course the reason they have lots of horse archers is that the Khazate in this campaign the Sturgeons rather have many Khazate cities, right? They have 2, 3, 4 cities that they've taken, so they have access to Khazate troops. But you could see the vanguard coming. That's what I'm concerned about. It looks like 300, 400 or so. I guess maybe it's 250 of their nasty infantry, right? We don't want to face that. We're just going to shoot them full of arrows. Now, there's kind of carnage at the margin of the battle here. We're being sort of peppered and strafed by enemy horses, but my focus is firmly there. 223 guys, and we've already got troops now behind them. We could back this first division up. We could start to spread units behind them, press their archers out of here with a cavalry rush, and you can hear the arrows going to work. Right? These infantry will be lucky if they get to any of our troops. And that'll only be basically if I make a mistake or something else happens. And we just move these guys into a line formation because they are closing, making me look bad here. But you can also see them dying en masse, right? Even holding up their shields. In fact, my little charge there seems like it might have intimidated them, right? That's what we'll believe anyways. We'll do a little narcissism and assume that our single charge stopped 200 warriors from engaging. But these guys are absolutely toast. And these kind of scenarios are perfect for a Khazate kill box. And it's probably one of the most devastating, unfair tactics in the game. Every single archer shooting. They almost, look, it's like you almost got to them, dude, and they're all killed. Now we can just charge at the infantry. They're basically toast. Might as well hammer and anvil him with the 2nd and 3rd division, bring them in behind here. That way they can upgrade too. You want all your units getting kills in battles like this. You know, the AI doesn't do a very good job of simulating this, or F1, F3 does a lousy job as well. By using this little quick kill box, maybe 3 minutes of your time, you guys learn some savage tactics, see you know, a really good way to use Khazate troops here. And that's been part of the intent of this, right? We're not going to do a full Khazate campaign. This is kind of a 2-for-1. You guys get a little bit of a Khazate campaign, Khazate tactics in combination with the epic Vlandian campaign. And we do have a bunch of elite archers we got to deal with here. It seems like at this stage, we can just count on almost every unit we face in battle being tier 5. It's kind of amazing, but I'm going to leave it, at least for a long time. The settings with the StrengthenAI can be dramatically adjusted. I could just turn it off, and suddenly these armies would be full of, well, you guys have all been there before, right? Where you face an army of Sturgeons, and the last 180, 250 troops are a bunch of peasants, and trucks holding up an unsteady shield. You know, with the StrengthenAI mod, the worst troops, you know, at the very end of the battle are usually tier 3 and tier 4, and they're, you know, the majority of the armies are just all tier 5 and 6. It's pretty awesome to see, especially after suffering through vanilla Bannerlord for a long time. This is precisely the mod that I think should be included in vanilla Bannerlord because you know, players get to certain skill levels, and of course, novice players, they don't want to deal with this. They would be they would have tiers, right? Just facing nothing but tier 5 dreadnought armies. But us experienced players, myself, plenty of you enthusiasts who visit the channel and give me advice on tactics and whatnot, we need these kind of mods and game settings to make Bannerlord, you know, more challenging, more. It becomes more satisfying again, right? It's like the guy who already climbed all the 7K, 7,000 meter peaks. He's got to start bagging all the 8,000 meter peaks. If you don't know what I'm referring to the Everest and the K2 of the world, stuff like that. And victory here. Now, 55 deaths, that's actually more than I expected us to get. I imagine that's mostly their cavalry skewering our very lightly armored, very weak horse archers. And I don't actually see a lot of casualties. It actually looks like our companion armies suffered most of the casualties. But nevertheless, you know, 55 deaths, I guarantee you the AI, if I auto-resolve there, it would have been hundreds of deaths. And we'll take all these prisoners, of course, all these troops. I haven't thought about the Varangians. Here's the deal with these guys, right? You guys have seen, if you've watched any of these episodes, these guys are unbelievably powerful. So what I think I'm going to do here is another episode or two, we are going to use the Varangians, and then after that, I'm not going to recruit them. We won't take prisoners. We won't recruit them, even if they're free. And I think that's fair because they are overpowered, right? If I was just using my intelligence and saying, hey, let's win this campaign, I would just recruit taken prisoner. Oh shit, look at this. How beautiful. Speaking of scoreboard watching. Taken prisoner by Baron York. Baron York is rampaging here. That's fucking great. Now, you guys, again, you're probably wondering how on earth this is going on, right? I mean, if you watch these episodes out of chronological order, these battles are happening essentially simultaneous, right? It says he's last seen at Turby Castle, right? So he's over there defending Turby Castle. And of course, I'll mindfuck you guys a little bit. We defended Turby Castle, and the Baron had a very close victory, I think probably right about this same date, in another video. So I'll let you guys wonder, you know, how on earth all this shit is happening. I like a little wonderment. Look at these casualties. I shouldn't have done that. Ouch. I like you guys wondering a little bit, though. And, you know, of course, it's the immersion effect. If you could just let your imagination roll a little bit, no question, right? This is just, you know, one continuous campaign. Baron York is doing his thing. Rylan is over here with the children of Baron York, and both of these lifetimes, just like yours and mine, right? You guys are probably sitting on a beanbag in your college dorm, or maybe you got a nice couch where you're eating some dinner or something like that on the weekend. By the way, I appreciate that you fellas include me into your life, right? I never thought I'd be a content creator on YouTube, but here we are. So this is another thing that happened. Our companions just disappeared. And of course, if you're following the timeline of this campaign, you know exactly where they went. And in fact, you wouldn't see their names in the lower right or in the lower left scoreboard watching, with Baron York, but they were not here, right? They were with him in battle there against the Battanians. So things are happening. All kinds of different elements are occurring in this campaign, and that's precisely what we wanted here. Now, we are going to build up a little mini empire over here. I haven't decided whether or not Rylan is going to make his own kingdom, but we're hoping to get Akalat. That's part of the reason I participated in that city. Sometimes if you participate, it seems like the odds are better that you get voted the city. There should be a vote soon. Other times it doesn't seem to matter. And a lot of it just has to do with how much clan tier, how much influence you have. Here we go. And how much, here we go, we get it. Beautiful. I don't even have to spend any influence on it. We get a new city here for Rylan. Anyways, there seems to be a bunch of factors. If you have too many cities or too many castles, they won't vote you anymore. They're basically all communists. They're going to share everything, which eventually leads most people to making their own kingdom and saying, nah, we're capitalist. We're going to do a meritocracy here. You're stupid. I'm smarter. I deserve more cities. Now, we'll set up a governor here. Actually, oh, wait. Oh, this is beautiful. This is Henry's wife, Billick. She married into the Khazate family, and we need her, right? She's going to help this city stay loyal. You can actually get desertion, or not desertion. You can actually get rebellions in your own cities, right? If your loyalty is low enough. I think I've seen that. I know for sure in foreign cities you can have that happen. So we're going to activate little festivals and game here, right? Bread and circuses for these citizens. We've stuck evidently she's a nice but firm governor, Billick. She must give out bread and then remind people that rebels get executed by the sword and flame. And I think I'll spare you this point here. We're going to sit here a few days and just boost the loyalty because I don't want to lose this city to a rebellion. Amitatis is besieged. Still scoreboard watching. And we got make peace with the Sturgeons. I don't want peace. Oh, beautiful. We don't have to vote here again. We don't have hardly any influence, so we don't want to have to vote. This is beautiful. They all bitch slap Manchug and said, shut the fuck up, you pacifist. We will have war. And I'm glad for that, right? In a campaign, especially where I'm trying to entertain you guys and have battle, that's the worst thing that can happen. All of a sudden there's a bunch of pacifists to say, hey, we want peace. So we're going to buy a few warehouses here. I'll talk more about warehouses in the future, but I'm not going to bore you to death with this stuff. We're going to sit here in this city for a few days until it's loyal. And I will probably just stop narrating because you guys don't need to see this shit. In a land of never-ending war, it seems like only the dead are allowed to rest. Rylan and his siblings had decided to regroup and let wounds heal now that they were generously awarded the city of Akalat by the Khan. His army was beginning to round into shape and more battle lay ahead of him, but he was compelled by a strange feeling to wait. While taking his seat to handle diplomatic envoys from the Sturgeons, the house guards struck the chimes of a family member entering the chamber. Suddenly, there stood a young woman. She looked a bit like Rose, his sister, and indeed, standing next to her, the similarities were striking. Rose had seen her working as a stables maid and recognized her immediately. It was Isegund, his youngest sister. Now 5 of the Baron's children had reunited. Though death and defeat had marred the rise of Rylan, he now led his family forward with newfound hope and even greater sense of purpose. What of his other 2 siblings? Where in this wild world were they living? And how? Of course, this asshole's going exactly where I want to go. Instead of, I was hoping this guy would go to a city. He's going to Aserai Castle. Oh, we just got Isegund. Isegund is part of our army here. Of course, we're going to do some sort of cutscene to introduce this gal here. This is, again, another one of the siblings of Ryland, right? She's the youngest of the brood, so to speak, at least of those that are of age. I think she's 18 or 19, and you can see we had her equipped out as basically a bandit because these units left their family, left in exile from Baron York with virtually nothing, right? The skin on their bones, the clothes on their back, and then maybe an heirloom weapon. So we don't actually have good equipment for her because we got captured. We don't have a home base to put equipment, so we're just going to throw on the highest level stuff we have. It's actually not terrible, and she's going to be another nice little horse archer for us here as we develop this Khazate style force, right? She kind of looks like a barbarian horse archer or something like that. Now we've got all these units, right? We need to do skill points for. I think we'll do that at the end of this episode. I'm not going to do it right in the middle here. But here's Isegund, right? She's spec'd to be a killer, but she's also going to be our scout. I haven't had a dedicated scout character. We may add medicine and leadership and stuff like that to her later on, but in the short term, I want to have her being the elite scout of the division, or of the group, right? This is one of the easiest things to specialize, and she's going to look at her scouting skill already went up. In fact, it's going up by the second down there in the lower left here. Now, Sanag is going to Aserai Castle, which annoys me. We were going to take that. I would love to have a castle right next to our city. It's always nice to have your holdings very close to each other. So we will target Hakkun Castle here. And I'm in a hurry, right? We want to continue to take land here. We're at war with the Sturgeons and the Southern Empire, right? So we've got our hands full. I think we will try a turbo siege here. And I'm aware that we can get attacked, right? Both after the siege. Carmenet is pregnant. That's nice. That's Ryland's wife. Evidently, they're doing stuff in the background here. Naughty stuff. And of course, I'm wary that an army of 1,500 Sturgeons could just loom up, right? We've already had our shit pushed in by Zuvan a few times. There's forces coming around the corner right now. Who knows if they'll join the battle or not, but we're gonna try a turbo press here, despite the fact that they have 2 catapults. In fact, this guy says he's engaging, which is a little strange. It doesn't mean he'll attack, but it's odd to see him engaging so readily. I don't know if that's a good sign or not. All right, so this is a really interesting castle, if I remember right. It's a very, very open courtyard, and so it will be good for defense once we take it. Of course, if we get awarded it, we may not get awarded this castle, or hoping to, but it also means it's going to be hell to take, right? They actually have 2 siege weapons. Because we're rushing this, we're going to get pounded with siege on the way in. Ordinarily, we build a trebuchet, a fire catapult, destroy a bunch of the interior siege defenses, but here, being in a bit of a hurry, it's okay if we have 50, 80, 100 casualties from it. And of course, priority 1 is going to be to rush up there and seize control of those, right? Just like we did in some of the last few episodes, last few big sieges like this. We might even be able to use those siege weapons against the enemy if they attack from outside, right? The reinforcement system is going to be a permanent fixture in this campaign. It's going to be ever present in battles. And it's going to make me fight differently as a commander. I love it because you have to basically consider, just like a real army, that you need a rear guard, right? You need troops essentially set up to potentially fend off people coming from behind, right? So let's get our forces moved up here and spread as fast as we can. That way the casualties are minimized. Instead of 50 guys dying every hit, it's like 3. I'm gonna, let's see, 7th and 8th Division, I want to have them hold fire at the beginning in case it is a battle where we get, outside forces exerting on it, and we can tuck the 8th over here. I don't think they can be hit by siege in that spot, right? It's a little spot to put them where, besides the casualties as they're running up, they don't really suffer too badly. Gonna lift these ladders for them here. It just speeds the process a little bit because we got to get troops into the courtyard as fast as possible. And unfortunately, these guys are going to face a hellacious hail of weapons as they come up these ladders. We've got some peasants mixed in our army, but otherwise, this army is starting to upgrade rapidly. Of course, That's what our process is, right? That is mission number 1 right now. The Khazad Empire is fine. Ryland's not really worried about the Khazad Empire. He's worried at this stage about building up his own success, right? This guy's trying to build on his confidence. And it's one of the funny things in both Bannerlord and life. But losing leads to more losing, and winning leads to more winning. Basically, the snowball effect, it goes in both ways. If our enemy's getting stronger and all their units are leveling up and stuff like that, and ours are getting killed, that means we're fighting harder enemies with weaker troops, and it becomes even harder to win. So just like real life, right? You got to try to find some of you young guys that are listening. You got to try to find some confidence early in life. Get the fuck up this ladder. Oh shit! They already took down the siege tower. It drives me nuts when these guys don't use the siege ladders, and I will eventually shoot our own guys just to sort of spur the action. You know, we role play that it's pushing guys, you know, sort of rallying them, but what we're really doing is unbugging the system. In fact, you can see on the other side over here too, there's another dipshit who must be doing the fucking fandango. Get the fuck up there. And it seems to work, right? If you guys are stuck, just a nice little tip for you. Go in there and just kind of stir the pot, because sometimes the guys get sort of stuck on each other. Shit, we do have forces coming in. We shouldn't have to do that, but it is what it is, right? The AI is not perfect. And of course, some people would say it's bad. All right, let's, fuck. This is Cavalry 2. Let's come in here and just try to draw attention. We do have the 7th Division there just firing away. I prepared for this, right? We're now starting to basically assume that we're going to get attacked like this, and here they come. Who knows how many this will be, right? You know, as is often the case, I may remove the power bar from some of these battles so that you can't see if there's a little tiny amount of blue coming in or a huge amount of enemy forces, right? This is a lord I would love to kill. Some of these lords have like 300 bow skill, and they'll just shoot the fuck out of your troops. Of course, you can see he's got good weapon skill too, and they never die, right? 180 hit points, and he's like, yeah, that's all you got? Fucking parrying everything, he's slashing me and shit. Kill this guy, holy shit, this guy's fucking brutal. I mean, he's kicking my ass. God, now shoot and kill this guy. They're like the Terminator, right? They feel no pity, they feel no remorse. I half expect him to get up and start crawling at me, trying to poke me. More are coming here. Okay. Ragenvad didn't join the battle. Ragenvad, that's the Sturgeon Grand Prince. Fucking dipshit pompous Grand Prince. So, we got shit happening here. I don't even think I saw him before this battle. He must be near. The guys are not using the gate for some reason here. I'm in a little bit of a crisis, and the music is perfect. It's kind of like a dreadful, bad situation. I can't move now, I'm getting stuck, and these guys here at the gate evidently either got pushed, killed, or for some reason I butchered their commands. So, we'll do this ourselves here briefly. You gotta watch for those fuckers throwing rocks at you. You see him standing there with the rocks? You fucking asshole. There's a guy shooting too. Fuckers. Now you can point at the door, but a lot of times if they're already fighting, it won't work. And I'm just gonna do this myself, because we gotta get troops inside this courtyard. Yeah, I see you throwing your rocks at me. Fucking asshole. Look at if you time it right, he's literally throwing the rocks right in front of me here. They're just piling up. Let's bring infantry and archers up here and try to push them in here as these dipshit militia come out of their city, out of their castle. Stupid fucks. Kill them. Now, it seems like we're okay out here. I see huge green death spam, and I only see a handful of enemy troops pushing through. We've got a lot of archers, and that's actually a really nasty situation for the enemy to deal with, right? Because there's just a torrent of arrows being fired at any troops that come in as reinforcements here. Ragenvad probably had the right decision. Evidently, though, there's more troops that think that they can swing this battle here, so we better just keep on fighting. That's an enemy lord. There's a whole bunch of cavalry and archers pouring in the back here, and we've got ourselves another chaotic scrum. This lord is just trampling our troops left and right. And hitting me by accident. God, he wasn't even aiming at me. I mean, I'm getting butchered this battle. Let's see if we can't. God, the courtyard is still swarmed with troops. This might be a situation we try to take the courtyard again. More enemies are coming. And this is happening reliably now, predictably. We're getting all kinds of chaotic siege battles here. Now I might have fucking fucked myself here. I'm the salmon swimming down the stream when everybody's trying to go up. Out of the way, fellas. Damn it. Gotta see what's coming. I gotta see if we gotta get inside the city or castle here or what. There's cons guards pouring in here. Nasty. Those horses getting shot out all over the place. They're still using counter siege on us here. Die! And it is a mess. I think some of those troops will be in the inner courtyard soon. They should be able to conquer the troops that are in there. And once they do that, of course, we'll have at least a home base here to fend off whatever else is coming in. We do have a lot of archers still out here shooting. That's a good sign, right? We're not out of ammo. Feeling good, feeling good. As soon as I say that, the enemy's bolstering their forces. Oh, shit. I was ready for the swing, but he hit my horse instead. Now we're on foot with no health. We're going to get stabbed. In fact, we got ran over. We take over Henry here. Player agent is dead. And it's beautiful chaos. I know there are some guys that they think the reinforcement system makes the game too crazy. I'm going to respectfully disagree. The amount of chaos it brings, the amount of fresh air it brings to a Bannerlord game that sometimes can get redundant, right? You're doing the same kind of battles over and over again. The chaos that this occurs, right, that this brings into battle with just cavalry running everywhere. There's dead horses stuck on spikes. There's archers trying to shoot everywhere. We're still getting flamed by enemy counter siege. We're trying to get in the courtyard. We're charging downhill. You don't know how many enemies are coming. It's just delicious. It seems like we got a handle on it. I just don't see that many enemy troops. And of course, it helps. We have all these archers. Man, I can't believe someone shot you in the back, dude. We'll have an inquiry for you, I promise. Some reckless guy shot him in the back. Shot him in the back. Yeah, let's try to just break out the friendly fire-free hammer here and wade through the enemy troops. Henry's got pretty good combat skills. But I just find it, a tremendously enjoyable experience. Total chaos, unexpected battle turns and twists. This campaign, of course, is designed to be chaotic, unusual, unique. And this mod is perfect for this campaign, right? You get chaos, you get unique shit happening almost every significant battle. So, we'll try to weave our way through here and continue to monitor the settings. I think we've got it though. All of a sudden the song stopped on my random playlist, and the enemy, it seems like they've got a couple guys left here. So it does look like we are successful. Hopefully we get voted this castle, because this is going to be a joy to finish. We lost a lot of troops, but we still got 450. That's not terrible considering the circumstances. And you see all these armies that joined. I can't tell if allied forces joined. It does look like maybe some allies joined. I didn't see the message. But that's another good part of the reinforcement system. It's not like someone ran over to General Lee every single time something happened and said, hey, 942 enemies are joining here, right? You might be in trouble. What the fuck? Did we lose? I thought we lost that. It looked like we lost. I don't know what just happened there. It sure seemed like we had 0 troops left, but I'm glad we didn't lose, because it'd be retarded to lose one of those with auto-resolve. You never lose those when you play it out, so I think we dodged a bullet there. Not sure exactly what happened there. We'll take it though, right? Show mercy. Of course, this is a Khazate castle. And again, hopefully we get voted this. Now, a while ago, we got voted Urziner Castle, which is a good castle for defense, but it's a ways away from Akalat here. This guy did join the battle now, and he's so wounded he can't join. But we did have a little bit of help there, but that was crazy. And then Ragenvad almost joined. How bizarre was that, right? And there he is, right? He must have been right at the edge of the battlefield. In fact, he's barreling right towards us. Let's fight him. He's got a good force, but we outnumber him here. We've got a pretty good force. He's got a bunch of infantry. Let's do this shit here.
It's been a
while. He looks like he's had a little bit too much marijuana. Maybe a little bit too much, right? You overindulge and bad things happen. Fight this battle on normal player damage. And sometimes guys are like, man, you're going to make me fail my term paper this weekend because I'm watching your episodes. Absolutely not, friends. Never put this over school, work, stuff like that. Never fucking calling from from work to play Bannerlord or fucking watch episodes from this. My God, don't do that shit, fellas. Take care of your important business. Make sure you go to family fucking outings, get a girlfriend, do all that stuff, and then watch the channel with the girlfriend, right? We'll say some nice thing about women here. We've got a woman in charge, right? We're rolling Rose out there. I'm practically a feminist. So the point, though, is make sure you guys modulate your own activities in life, right? Addiction is a real thing. And maybe we'll do a little soapbox here and there. Probably not this battle. But especially you young guys, man, I really worry about the young guys. And I think every generation worries about the young people. Oh, TV, they're all going to be fucking watching TV all weekend. But there are other insidious things that maybe we'll get to in this episode and maybe not, that I've read about. And on some level, I have a little bit of experience with, and I'm quite worried for you fellas. And I feel it's incumbent upon me. It's important for me as an influencer, even a small-time influencer, to help you young guys in this gnarly stream of life, right? There's all kinds of rocks and snags and nets to get caught up on. And our society, especially in America, Western culture, believes in freedom. Well, that also means the freedom to piss your life away with cocaine and fucking porn and marijuana and other things like that. It's not that I oppose the use of drugs and stuff like that. It's very important that you modulate your use and that you're introspective about how much control it has over you. And that includes Bannerlord. Now, I say that as a guy with 13,000 hours of Bannerlord, but I'm playing at work right now. I maintain a healthy marriage. I maintain a full-time job. I've got a robust garden at home. I hit the gym 6 times a week. You've got to have that balance, fellas. Even if, I spend a lot of my free time on Bannerlord, you still got to do the other things. Now, this is not great. I'm looking at my 3rd and 6th division here, and I have a lot of peasants. I didn't realize. I guess that's just because we've had so many losses to our elite troops here. So this might be a harder battle than it looks. And there's always a chance we get reinforcements. So we'll get off our soapbox here. I do plan on doing more of that, and I know some guys aren't thrilled about it, right? I had a couple guys say, I'm here for Bannerlord, not financial advice. They didn't say STFU, but that's kind of what they meant. But the reality is, in a way, when you have 15, 20, 25,000 subscribers, some guys want to hear stuff that other guys don't want to hear, and I will try to thread that needle. But for sure, I'm going to create content sometimes that guys aren't thrilled about. I will just try to keep it from being too controversial. We won't go anywhere politically. I'm not going to say vote for Trump or vote for this guy or vote for this person. I won't say support this party, support that party, but I will talk philosophically about some of my ideas in life, and that's just my right to do so, right? I will try not to alienate half of you guys or 3/4 of you guys or whatever, but I also am going to try to be a positive steward of some of these young souls that are coming to the channel. You're in your most important formative years here, and I think I owe that to society to try to pass on some of the things that I've learned. And again, I've said it before, it's a saying I like. Hopefully you guys can learn an ounce of wisdom from my pound of failures, right? From the pound of mistakes I've made in my life. Hopefully I can give you guys a little head start. Now, they send horse archers through their archers here. We're going to kill box their infantry division in the middle. Hopefully we can juggle, chew gum here and do tactics. Standard kill box, right? We're just starting to move horse archers behind him here. In fact, we'll get horse archers right behind him. Of course, it's a huge army of Varangians, right? So it's this savage force. We're going to try to deal with these elite archers first. Obviously, Ragnvad, his entire army is tier 5 and 6. Fiend champs and Khans guards and whatnot. But it's the Varangians I'm most worried about. Right? They're so deadly if they get to your units here. In fact, these units got kind of caught up. We'll do a little shield and shock now. The good thing is we have so many archers that I can sacrifice all of this cavalry and infantry, and we're going to have enough horse archers and archers, I think, to pound down the rest of their forces. We've got all those archers just deliciously positioned. They can kite anytime they want. This 6th division of peasants, I'm just going to keep back here as reserves. It's always nice to have some kind of distraction or square that you can throw at the enemy if things get ugly here. And it is messy, right? We're definitely suffering losses, but like I said, these armies we're facing are just not, these are not your uncle's armies, right? These are not the armies that most people face in Bannerlord. They're here to help. Okay, I thought they were going to get a bunch of Sturgeon reinforcements, in which case I would say we're fucked. But allies coming in, that kind of makes this battle a cinch. But Those Varangians won't die again. We sent all that cavalry, shock troops, and infantry in there, and what happened? A whole bunch of our troops got killed, and not very many Varangians. I mean, maybe they got softened up. Maybe there's a silver lining, but man, did they melt our divisions we sent against them. Still, like I said, we've got all these horse archers, and they're in a firm kill box. I think even if they had 2,000 here, we would be able to, or 200, we'd be able just to surround them and shoot them to pieces. This is Ragenvad right here. Look at this bitch. He's helpless. He's on foot. Let's smash him here with our glaive. Maybe we can kill him. But he went down fast. It's cool to see him on foot. I don't know if he got off his horse, or I've seen him on a horse before. It's interesting he wasn't on his horse. I wonder if his horse got shot out from underneath him. A little bit of mop up here. And then I think we'll probably wrap up this episode. And you know what? I am going to slip this in here as we do just to finish up to this episode here. I wonder if we kill Ragenvad. We'll have to see at the end of this battle. And cover your ears here if you are both sensitive, don't want to hear this, but I also think this is really important for a lot of the young guys to understand. We just have no concept as a society, as a large society, the damage that pornography is doing. And I say that as somebody who has used some pornography during my life, right? Virtually like 99% of men at this stage, and a lot of women have either seen porn or use it on a regular basis, and unfortunately they're discovering it is enormously addictive. The worst part is that the people that are the guys that are basically 12, 15, 18 today are the most at risk, because in most cases they have 5 or 10 years before they have sexual experiences and they're using porn. So I'm not going to go into a big long rant about it right here, but it's really disconcerting, the effects of this. It's essentially a nuclear weapon for the sexuality for young men across the world, not just in the US, but in China, in Russia, in Ukraine, in England, all across the world, because it's on the internet. So we will talk about that a little bit more. I will try to give you guys a little bit of disclaimer. We will do it in short segments so that if you skip it, you know, if you want, in fact, I might even tell you the next 3 minutes I'm going to talk about this, but this is something that I have read about recently, and it's a fucking horror story. You can't imagine what you hear from these people, and unfortunately, the capitalists behind the pornography industry don't give a fuck. Just like the cigarette makers, just like all the other addictive products, the food makers, they don't give a shit. They just want your money, and under the guise of freedom and free will, people are literally destroying their lives, not just their sex lives, but their entire lives. So I know that sounds dire. I don't want anybody to be alarmist, but I've got a book I want to talk about the next time we have a little bit of time in an episode. I've got free license to do that on the channel. Not only that, but I think this just is a benefit, a vital benefit that some of you guys 10, 15, 20 years down the road will be like, man, I don't know the guy anymore, but I listened to this YouTube channel. I just want to give the guy a hug and say thank you. So we'll explore that a little bit down the road. Of course, this campaign continues, friends. I appreciate you. You want to subscribe if you want to see more. This campaign is ongoing. I'm not going to say how long it's going, but it's going to go for a little while. Hit that like button on the way out, and I will see you friends next time.